This is the 17-inch LG Gram laptop, and it's a magician. It looks like a really meaty laptop, the type of thing you don't want to carry around because it's going to break your back as you lug it into the office or to uni every single day. However, the reality is when you pick it up, it's stunningly light, and that is the LG Gram superpower. Hi, I'm Stead, technology editor at find.com.au, and today I am reviewing the 17-inch LG Gram. All right, let's get to the big sell with the 17-inch LG Gram, and that is its weight. This is my 13-inch MacBook. This is what I usually use when I'm in the office. It's small, it fits in my backpack very easily, and when I cart it around, it just feels like it's very portable. This is considerably lighter. It's only 1.3 kilograms. This is a 17-inch, there's a 16-inch and a 14-inch model as well. They both straddle on the either side of 1 kilogram. This is how light these devices are. It's definitely the superpower. When I first got this into the Finder office, I actually went around and just tested it. I just handed it to people just to see their reactions, and they were unanimously the same. Everyone's eyes just popped and went, wow. And that's why the weight is the superpower of the LG Gram, because what it does is it makes the big, beautiful 17-inch screen, 17-inch laptop portable, which is something we haven't really seen too much in the past. One of the most enjoyable activities I've had with the LG Gram is just passing it to other people and watching their reaction as they feel the weight of it for the first time. People see it, they think it's a big, heavy 17-inch, and they are often surprised. But Tobias here, he's never felt it before, so he's about to discover whether or not this is as heavy as he thinks it is or it isn't. As a bit of a measure, I've got a MacBook 13-inch here. It's one of the older ones, it's not a MacBook Air Pro, but this is what a 13-inch feels like.
Oh my God, I forgot how heavy these are. old Intel one?
Yeah, it's probably about 4 years old.
Wow.
Yeah, so
I'm not putting that in my bag.
Well, I am putting that in my bag, but now I'm putting this in my bag.
Oh wow! Oh my God, that's ridiculous. I feel like I could carry that anywhere. Like on a plane, that would be great.
Yep.
Yeah, wow. So you could like walk around and just type like this if you wanted to?
Well, if you were so inclined.
Yeah.
But
that's awesome.
Possibly not the way to use it, but
wow.
Yeah. Now, my first reaction as soon as I picked it up was, what's the catch, right? So if the laptop's going to be this light and this big, obviously something is missing. But the reality is the specs on this aren't too bad. They're not extremely awesome performance in terms of the specs, like a little bit dated, but it's still more than you'll need for most of your daily office or university or study experiences. I'll read you some of the specs now. You're looking at 11th gen i7 2.8 GHz quad-core CPU, 16 gigabytes of RAM, 9.5 hours of battery life. Battery life, I thought that was impressive. I thought battery life was really going to be hit. 512 gigabytes NVMe M2 PCIe SSD, so that's the really fast new SSDs we've seen in the likes of the Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5. You got a 1610 QHD screen with integrated camera in the bezel, very cute camera too actually. Integrated graphics card, and that's going to hurt you a little bit with your gaming. We've got 2 Thunderbolt 4 ports. Now it's worth noting that the specs here in Australia are slightly different to overseas, so make sure you are looking at the specs on the Australian sites. In fact, if you just go to find.com.au, I've got the specs of all 6 of the LG Gram laptops available in the country, available there for you to compare. So they are slightly different overseas, and with the 17-inch, it is not customizable, so you will get these specs straight out of the shop. You cannot customize it and add extra features in at the point of sale. However, like I said, performance-wise, you're not looking at too great a reduction for the light. In fact, this will run everything you need to run, including I ran some of my design software on there, Adobe and so forth, no problems at all. The only place that's really going to struggle is when you start hitting those high performance, high-end HDR, top of the line, ray tracing, stuff like that, gaming. So the gaming experience is at the very highest end is where this thing's going to start to struggle, and I've noticed a little bit of heat when it's starting to, max out a little bit. But you're still going to be able to play your general games, your Rocket Leagues, your Minecrafts, that type of stuff, games that are a few years old. In my general moment-to-moment use of the LG Gram, and in fact I wrote my LG Gram review that is posted on the find.com.au website, actually on the laptop itself, just to get a real feel for it. My moment-to-moment experience with the laptop has been great. The screen real estate, obviously the extra 17 inches that you get over, say, the 30 inches that I've used usually, that's a lot of screen real estate. The keyboard's beautiful too. When I take you through the design, I'm going to show you a little bit more about the keyboard layout and how that's caused me a few bits of problems. But in terms of just the operating system, how everything works, very snappy, very, very fast. Obviously, this is a brand new laptop, so it hasn't got that kind of bloat that PCs tend to get after you've been using them for a while. So obviously you've got to do your own maintenance to keep things snappy. But I didn't get quite the 19.5 hours of advertised performance out of it, but I did get about 16. I think that's perfectly fine for a day's work. Like I said, this is a portable laptop, highly portable laptop, so it's designed for people who are moving about, and so you're never really that far from a PowerPoint in that regard. There is one negative that's worth bringing up, it's the speakers. Obviously, in trying to fit everything everything into such a slim and light device, the speakers have been compromised somewhat in my opinion. They kind of sit here underneath the device and the sound doesn't really come out too well. Now, do you really need sound when you're doing office work or student stuff? Probably you got your headphones in if you listen to music or something like that. But I think if you're going to have a big 17-inch beautiful QHD screen, then this can double as a multimedia screen for you. You can watch your Netflix on it or your Stan or your Foxtel or whatever you happen to be watching. So I do feel like the speakers could have been a bit better on this. I would have preferred, but there is a headphone jack at least built in, so you can of course just connect your headphones to it should you need to. Now the finish itself is a beautiful kind of black matte. I wouldn't call the laptop necessarily beautiful, but it's definitely sleek and nicely designed. Now the screen itself is absolutely glorious. Like the screen real estate's amazing. You've got a really small little bezel here, a very, very discreet webcam up here that you can barely notice is even there. It's just really about the screen. Now the keyboard is beautiful. It's slightly more raised than I've found with a lot of the other keyboards that I've used. In particular, that raise, just where it really caught me out was doing Control V of all things. That's where you just notice a little bit of extra height. I've measured this next to my 13-inch and the distance is the same. I thought maybe this is more spaced out, but it's not. But it's very lovely to type on. I've done a lot of typing on it. Now, where the keyboard does let you down is with the positioning of the touchpad. Now, if you've been using a 13-inch laptop or even a 14 or a 16, you don't usually have the number pad to the side. That's something we usually see with desktop keyboards. However, because you've got this bigger amount of space here with a 17-inch, the actual number pad is available on the screen. So at this point, the touchpad shouldn't really be centered, in my opinion, to the actual full keyboard. The touchpad needs to be centered to the actual keyboard. And the reason is because when you put your hands onto type, you're not like this. It's not in the center. You actually want to be like this. And so your hand's kind of slightly onto the actual touchpad. Now I haven't noticed that affecting the mouse or anything like that. Like you don't accidentally press it. It seems to be pretty good at detecting when you're not trying to touch it. However, it just feels a little bit awkward. I did get used to it, but for my money, the touchpad really should be centered to the actual space bar so you can sit like this. There is a downside to that though as well, because what I found myself doing was sitting slightly off to the side, not looking directly into the middle of the screen. I kind of sitting slightly off to the side of the screen. So a little bit of an adjustment there. I think actually after you were using it for quite a substantial amount of time, you probably forget all about it and just get completely used to it. There's definitely a bit of a learning curve there. In terms of the design as well, like I said, it's extremely light. So when you first put it in your hand, it actually feels quite brittle. And you're like, am I going to break this? The latch, however, is really strong. And it's wobbling there, but like it doesn't feel like it's going to ever fall down on you. It actually takes a bit of strength to move that back and forth. However, the screen itself has this warble in it, which almost gave me a heart attack the first time it happened. I was like, whoa, is this going to snap? But it seems to handle it quite well. So it's actually a lot tougher than it looks and feels, but you do feel a little bit scared when you're holding it because you're like, oh my God, I'm going to drop this $3,000 thing and it's just going to completely shatter. Very well catered for with ports. So on this side, we've got two Thunderbolt ports, Thunderbolt 4 too, so you can daisy chain this thing. Got an HDMI, it's HDMI 2. HDMI 2.1 would have been lovely, would have future-proof this against 8K content. Got a headphone jack as well. And on the other side, I love this, still some old school USB as well. So you're not completely sheltered away from being able to use your existing USB keys on this as well. The big success here with the LG Gram is it's bringing the 17-inch back. I used to love my 17-inch laptop. I love the extra screen real estate. I love being able to multitask a lot better, especially when I work in design. I can have images on one side, I can have my design files on the other. That big screen real estate really does help multitasking. It really does help efficiency. But it was too damn heavy. I couldn't keep carting it on a bus. I couldn't keep carting it around to the office and back and forth from home. So I ditched the 17-inch and I went for a 13-inch. However, now this LG Gram 7-inch has come along and it's functional, it works. It's powerful, it's not extremely powerful. You can go get some gaming 7-inch laptops that blow this out of the water, but for most people, this is gonna absolutely suit their needs. It's bringing the 7-inch back. So if you've been waiting to pull the trigger on getting a bigger screen, fire, it's here. The LG Gram 17-inch, I highly recommend it. It's a great laptop and I intend to use it a lot more in the future. Now, for all your laptop needs and indeed to read the full review of the LG Gram, please head over to finder.com.au. You'll also find a best laptops guide there where we look at the 11 best laptops across 11 categories. So plenty to explore on that finder.com.au website if you're looking for more. As for me, I'm gonna go do some writing.